here with Gene Kaufman. Gene, thanks so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Gene is you're one of the most prolific architects in Brooklyn and in Manhattan. Tell me a little bit about some of your new projects.
In Brooklyn, we're doing 2 ground-up artist studio buildings, which are going to be commercial buildings, not for living. And I think this is really significant and represents almost a new type of building, which was something that was on the fringe of what was happening, is now becoming mainstream, and it's cost justified that you can build ground-up commercial property in Brooklyn, and not just for retail, not just for offices, but for artists who, interestingly enough, have become a very major economic player.
Tell us a little bit about what you're doing in Manhattan. You've been involved in a bunch of hospitality projects with Sam Chang.
I mean, right now, with 56 million visitors in Manhattan, it would not have been possible for those people to have come here based upon the old supply of hotel rooms. And so it's really an instance of, build it and they will come. And the occupancy rates and the RevPAR and everything are holding very well despite the increase.
Are you a lifelong New Yorker?
I was born in the Bronx. I grew up in Queens, and I've spent most of my life in New York City.
What's changed about what's been the most dramatic change in your craft in the last, let's say, 10 years?
Once upon a time, what people needed in a kitchen, what people needed in a bathroom, what people needed in an apartment, that expectation was quite low. And I think that now, obviously, that's gone to a super luxury proportion. And I think that has made connoisseurs out of people who used to be bargain basement type providers and developers. So there's really no low-end product anymore. There's only high and higher. And I think what that's done is overall the quality has gone up.
Tell me a little bit, Gene, about the starchitecture trend, how it's sort of become a mania almost in New York to get a big name architect to anchor a project. What are the pitfalls? What are the pluses?
Look, the reason why somebody goes out to get a star, whether it's a movie star or an architect star, is you think, one, it has the curb appeal, as the name and so on, and you think you're buying, and often you are buying, a greater degree of talent than if you're in the general marketplace. And I think the pitfalls not only are you overspending or maybe spending too much time, but also, is that person really attuned to what the local parameters are of what's really needed? And if you're going to get somebody coming from another part of the world, they're going to be drawing on their own experience. And how well can they craft that to what the Manhattan market is, to what the Manhattan customer is, or elsewhere in the country?
You're in a position now where you can pick and choose what you do. Are you getting a little more fussy with as time goes by?
I'm getting a lot more fussy because I think that in a market like this, it's too tempting sometimes to pick certain projects that look good but don't have the fundamentals that other projects do, and you don't want to have that level of exposure.
I'm going to ask you one wild card question to close it out. Either, you can choose. What's the most ridiculous proposal you've put forward as an architect, or what's the most ridiculous idea that's been pitched to you by a developer? And you can think back.
Developers are rarely the person to come with a crazy idea because the money has to be safe, and if it's an institutional lender, it has to be safe. That being said, I think you've seen, for instance, in China, a whole wave of crazy buildings where crazy was what people wanted, and we designed a building for China, not built, where the entire building could rotate in sections. And that's actually what they wanted. But I think that for projects like that in this kind of environment, I don't think you're going to be seeing that.
Okay, Gene, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.